All right, so section 1.2.2, printing with variables. Okay, so this is just the multiple choice. Um, I guess I will explain a little bit of this. So variables help programmers change values, make the program easier to read, store information. So that's definitely in all of the above. Morning, sir. The quizzes we did, let me release that. And so Kelton and Joel, you can make up the quizzes through the link on Canvas. I can publish that. So make sure you make it up and make sure you comment that you did it. So whenever you make up something on quizzes, comment that you did it. All right. So this question about what does the following program prints? I guess what the part that might not be obvious, well, let's do a wrong answer because they do give interesting explanations to the wrong answers. I think they do. Let's see, let's check. Okay. Oh, it does explain a little explanation down here. The reason the green one is correct and the pink one isn't is that when you do a print statement, it automatically will put the next statement to the next line. Is what we call a new line or a carriage return. Some places will, old school places will call it. So if they were all in the same print statement, they would be all in the same line. Now, there are ways to trick that and make it work differently. I'm just talking about the default behavior right now. So since it's 5 different print statements, it's going to be on 5 different lines, at least 5 different lines. You could have more than one line in one print statement, but it's automatically going to be on multiple lines. So that's why the green one is right and the pink one isn't. Also, I'm not going to dig into the other things. The subtleties of the print statement, I'll go ahead and tell you right now. If you're ever taking a test on Python, which we will be doing next week, the little subtle differences on how to do things, way things turn out with print statements is a very common thing to ask multiple questions about. So make sure you're paying attention to differences between like using pluses and commas, using one print statement versus multiple, data types in the print statement, etc., and so forth. All right, so I'm going to move on. Oh, there's a third question. Okay, I'm not going to talk about this one. This is one that hopefully you're figuring out and learning about. If you have a question about it, ask me one-on-one. All right, next section. Bags with variables. See what happens if I do that. All right, let's see. This is an example program. Use the code to help answer the following questions. What happens if you change the value of bag count to 3? So this is introducing the concept of variables. So first, run this, see what it does. All right, so we have 2 variables. We got candy count, we got bag counts, and it prints out the number of bags used, bag count, the number of jawbreakers per bag, and then it does a mathematical operation in the print statement. So it divides this right here. So a couple things. When you print without quotes, it's going to print the value of your variable. Your variable could be a number, aka an int or a float. So your variable could be a string in quotes. Remember, air quotes. So the print, but in here, it becomes a float because of the division of integers. They'll automatically make that a float. That's why it's 28.0 and not just 28. All right, now the problem says change this to a 3. So we change this to a 3, and we see what happens. This is harkening back to the jawbreaker concept that you have 56 jawbreakers and you want to break them into even bags with no jawbreakers left over. So 3 is not a factor of 56. So notice that the number of jawbreakers per bag is 18.6 repeating, and 18.6 repeating is not a whole number. So 3 is not a factor, and if you divide 56 by 3, you get that one of those R words if you call a remainder. The next section, or next 1.3 or 1.4, we'll talk about a modulus function, which will give us a remainder. So this is just a foreshadowing. If we do candy counts, and I'm going to do a percent sign, which is a special character that's called the modulus, divided by 3. So there would be a remainder of 2. So 3 goes into 56 18 times with a remainder of 2. That's a foreshadow. Let's see if it'll take this assignment as correct, though, because sometimes when you do things they don't ask, it confuses them. But it probably will be okay. Let me see. Because make sure it gives a blue check mark. Oh, I guess that's not a check mark one. All right. So here's another one. So it says change bad count from 2 to 7, and change the candy count to 48. How many times you have to make that change in the code? So this is exploratory. Now this is also, oh, it didn't say, wait, which one are you supposed to change? So this looks like a program we'll actually do later in this subunit. The example will show what the output might be supposed to look. Oh, it gives, sometimes when this type of problem, the example will explain the problem again. When it's a programming problem, there'll be a tab over here that says assignment. All right, so it said change back count from 2 to 7. So let's change back count. So what they mean is edit this variable assignment. So remember, the equals is an assignment. It's saying we're making a variable called back count, and we're assigning it the value. Well, we're assigning the value 2 right here, and now we're going to change that to 7 to see what happens. You know, so let's mess around and find out. All right. So when we change out from 2 to 7, you get 56 divided by 7 is 8. Whereas when it was 2 bags, we got 28 here, because divided by 2 is 56 divided by 2 is 28, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And then the other thing they're wanting us to see, change the candy count. Okay, well, this is kind of cool. So notice they ask, how many times did you have to make the change? Because over here, they changed back count 2 other times, but it's used, the variable is used 6 different times, like when you actually print it out. So it's kind of part of what the advantage, like they talked about in the multiple choice, is that it's for one thing, it's convenient. The variables are very powerful. This is part of what makes computer programming powerful. Now, but here, candy count is only assigned exactly 1 time, but it's used 3 different times. So we only have to change it once, and then it changes all of our answers. Now, 7 is not a factor of 48, but 3 is a factor of 48, as is 4. So we can see that kind of changes. If we had 48 jawbreakers instead of 56 jawbreakers, how or the way our bags would break up might be a bit different. Because we could use, we could break it up into 3 different bags with no remainder. 4 and 2 already worked. Now 7 doesn't work any longer, but I believe 8 would. So, you know, it's a different set of factors for 48 than for 56. But one of the cool things that you could easily next through and not notice, we have candy count in 3 places, but we changed its value in this one place in the first part of the program. So it got used 3 different times. So if we had instead hard code, what this would be called hard coding. If we put 48 here instead of the variable, which is legal, you could do this if you wanted to. I mean, if this was your own program and you weren't following instructions. Now, if you wanted to change it back to 56, you would have to change it in 3 places. I mean, well, you know, you could do, let's see if it does the search and replace. Now, you could do this. You could change 48 with 56, but that could also change if you have, you know, if you don't have a 24-line program, if you have a 2,400-line program, that could have some unintended consequences. If you just have it change them all at once, you can go case by case and change them quickly. But in any case, this is a part of the power of programming. Variables are, after print statements, the variables are the next most important things in Python. All right, so that's 1.2.4. So the next one is a pencil assignment. So with these pencil assignments, you got to read. Well, you always have to read closely, but you definitely have to read exactly what they're looking for. Sometimes you got to read it twice, but reading is crucial. And when in technical fields like programming, you gotta read exactly what they want. They're not giving you a lot of extra words. They're telling you exactly what they want and trying to be precise about it. So after the jawbreakers, the next pile of candy that needs to be sorted are mini chocolate bars. Ooh, yum. There are only 20 chocolate bars in the shop today, and they need to be evenly divided between little boxes. So we write a program that calculates and prints one of the options you can use to box them evenly. So you can use the same variables that they used previously. In fact, you can go back and copy and paste the code if you really want to. Make sure you know what you're doing. So we use box count and oh, no, they're changing it, chocolate count instead of, I think it was like candy count before. So it's slightly different, but same idea. A lot of variables, all they do is really count stuff. A lot of what your programs do when we get into for loops, when we get into conditionals and all that stuff, it's a lot about counting. But computers can do it really quickly and efficiently, so that's kind of an ideal job for a computer. All right, so your final output should look similar to this: number of boxes, number of chocolate bars, and the calculated values. And then and you can use, oh, it says you can go ahead and use the bags with variables example to guide your coding. So if you didn't read this, it's telling you, hint, go back and copy and paste that thing from the previous assignment. But I'm not going to do it that way. I am going to do this. So, oh, I already forgot what they said in the assignment. I'm kidding, but I'm just doing this to demonstrate. Click on assignment, and it tells you exactly what they said in the assignment, because there's a lot going on the screen. It takes a little getting used to. So I'm going to copy this, the output right here. I'm going to paste it over here. So that's not valid code, but I'm going to make it valid code. So I'm just going to make this a print. Oh, we're supposed to create the variables there. So those comments, remember, if the line starts with a pound sign, it's a comment. It's just for your information. It doesn't get executed by Python. It's not an error. It's informational. Or sometimes if you want to get rid of a line of code, you can just put a comment in front of it. If you don't want to delete it, if you want to save it for later for some reason. I do that a lot, but I find that I have to deal with my attachments later on. When half the time I should probably delete it. Let's see. So he said box counts equals, let's see, we'll try 2, and then chocolate count, I think it wanted. Now these kind of things are the things that the program, when it gives you your grade to see if it's correct, might look for the exact variable name or the exact output, because that's how it knows that you did it right. So I don't want to discourage creativity, but sometimes your creativity will confuse CodeHS and you won't get your green dot. So sometimes, in the case of doing CodeHS or Khan Academy, you want to do pretty close to what they're asking, because that's what they're looking for. All right, then there are print statements, prints, and then prints. I think it was box count. Yeah, okay, it says right there, box counts. All right. I wanted this output number of chocolate bars per box. I'm going to put that in the print statement. If you already see the error, I know about it. If you don't see the error, see if you can figure out what my error is going to be. When I run this, it should hopefully be pretty obvious that I'm going to have an error. All right, then prints. I'm going to do chocolate counts divided by box counts. All right, here comes that error. So I'm going to click back on output, do run, and syntax error. So syntax error, the quizzes today talked about syntax a little bit. Syntax is like it's like in English, having correct punctuation, like a period at the end of the sentence, comma after certain types of clauses, etc. That's the computer version of that. The computer version of that is very strict. Computers are fast at calculating, but dumb because they'll do only exactly what you ask them to, even if you ask them to do the wrong thing. Syntax error means you type something wrong, and it's not a big deal. You just go and fix it. It's telling you it's wrong. It's not like your mom's yelling at you It's just, oh, there's something you need to fix. And well, after you've had a few of them, you start to kind of get the hang of the types of things that cause problems. And there could be some weird stuff too. If you can't figure it out, talk to me. I had a young student yesterday who was trying to fix a print statement like this, but her computer was doing a weird type of character for quotes. Her Chromebook, she was using her Chromebook and it was doing some weird character there, and she was getting an error. But it was because the Chromebook was putting the wrong character in there. So even if you do the right character, but the wrong version of the character, and that's not even your fault, you could get an error. So, you know, sometimes, and I've seen a couple of other weird ones. It's rare that you get something that weird, but it does happen. If you really can't sort out a syntax error, definitely talk to me. I'm pretty good at solving these kind of things because of decades of experience. All right. So I fixed those. If you didn't notice already, it was the lack of quotes. So I'm gonna run this and boom. So here's the output. I think for this one, you're supposed to have 3 of these. Oh no, so you're supposed to have 1 of this. The next one, you're supposed to have 3. So let me see if this is a green dot. Submit and continue. All right, this is the one you're supposed to have multiple outputs. You can borrow the code from the last section, or you can start fresh, however you wish. Okay, that was a green dot. So here's what they mean. You can go back here. In fact, I recommend it. Go back here, Control A to select all, Control C to copy. I wouldn't do Control X in this case because you want to leave it there. I think your green dot will disappear if you delete it. Then come back over here, get started, Control V. My cursor was in the wrong place. Control V, boom. Now, and then I can Control V 2 more times. And then you just have to change it to be correct. So at this point, I'm not going to explain it. This is where you should be figuring it out, make sure it's working right for you. The point of this is to prevent you from being stuck, not to prevent you from experimenting and messing around to make sure this works right. So the video will end here for section 1.2. Of course, if you have any questions, talk to me. If you ever need tutoring and we're outside of school, I can do Zoom appointments. It's just got to be by appointment. Talk to me during class or email me outside of school. If I'm available, I don't mind jumping on Zoom for 15 to 30 minutes and helping you that way.